Here we're going to graph the linear regression line by hand and be able to graph it directly on our calculator over the top of our scatter plot. Starting out, let's do it by hand. So we're given the regression equation y equals negative 0.00354x plus 37.3. And that refers to this graph here of vehicle weight versus miles per gallon. In order to graph the regression line, when we're given the actual equation, we don't simply just take a guess. We don't just say, looks about right there. We no longer do that. Now we're actually going to plot points. We're going to be a lot more precise about how we approach this, and then connect the points and get exactly the line that we're supposed to. So in order to plot points, I would just look at whatever graph you have and look to the far left x value and the far right x value that you have available. So in this case here, on the far left, I have 2400 for my x value for my vehicle weight. And on the far right, I have 4800. Those are the farthest extremes of my graph. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug those values of x in to this equation, see what y comes out to, and use that to trace my line. So first one we're going to do is x equals 2400 over here on the left. We have our equation y equals negative 0.00354x. We said x is going to be 2400 plus our y-intercept 37.3. And if you plug that all into your calculator and get your order of operations right, you're going to get 28.8. So let's plot that 28.8 somewhere on the graph here. It's going to be right about here. And then let's repeat for 4800. We have the same equation, except when we get to our value for x, we're going to substitute in 4800. So now y equals our slope times x plus our y-intercept. And if you do the math on that, you're going to get about 20.3. So when we go to our x equals 4800, y equals 20.3. And that's going to be roughly around here. Now that we have 2 points, that's all you need to draw a straight line. So you just need to connect these 2 points. And that's our linear regression line, a much more exact version than what we had before. You can see that, yes, there might be, in fact, more points below the line than there are above the line because the ones above happen to be a little bit farther away. That's going to happen sometimes, but this line is going to be much more exact than just guessing and drawing a line through. If we want to graph the regression line on our calculator, first we have to make sure all the data values are typed in. So we would go to our stat edit, and in our list 1 and list 2, we'd make sure we have all these numbers. If you have it from before it, that's great. So once you have all these numbers typed in, let's make sure this list is all visible here. You're going to go to Stat, Calc, linreg as if you were looking at the linear regression information, but before you hit enter a second time, when you're at this screen flashing, what you're going to do is you're going to go to vars, as in variables, yvars. Under function, you're going to hit enter. You're going to hit enter again for y1. And so this y1 is going to appear. And what I did was vars, I went over and then hit enter twice. I'm going to hit enter a third time here, and my linear regression information will come up just like it always does. But now when I go to zoom 9 to plot a scatter plot, it's going to automatically trace that line for me. If you're curious behind the scenes how that actually worked, what it did is it automatically dumped that equation into my y1, my y equals on my graphing calculator. You could manually type it here if you found this part too complicated. You could write down your equation and manually type it in your y1 and it would work exactly the same. And so all you're going to do is it's going to help you get this graph the same way that we just drew it by hand a moment ago. You can compare the two and see that they're essentially the same. And that's how you would graph your regression line on your calculator.